Welcome to Coffee Talk with Liquidshano 1973, an inspirational podcast about the ups and downs of life and everything in between. Here's your host, Shane Lakita.
Hey guys, welcome back everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Coffee Talk. Here I am, week 2, back-to-back weeks that I'm recording another episode of Coffee Talk with Liquidshano. And I'm appreciating so much all of the great feedback that I got from the last episode that we did about the trip to Vegas, the impact of kindness, the impact of celebrating other individuals and doing those kind of things. I think it's pretty amazing to me that the community that we're building and the things that we're doing really does matter. It matters in general. It matters to me because here I am trying to be able to make things happen and do things from top to bottom, to be able to be a kind influence and keep things moving forward and all those good things. And at the end of the day, when it starts to actually be seen or be heard or inspires others or people are excited, it's just amazing to me. The impact that we have at our disposal, whether it's through our phones, whether it's through our tablets, whether it's through social media, whether it's through emails, through newsletters, whatever it is, we have such an impact and such an opportunity at our hands to make such positive influences and impacts in the world. But I don't think that we realize how much we really do, and so for me to come back with the first episode after a period of time and been being away for a little while, it was really nice just to get back in the swing of things, posting some of the stuff about the podcast and sharing that and putting that out for everybody to see. And then to also see the amount of downloads the first week or so when the podcast was released is just incredible to me. So first of all, I just want to thank all of you folks that have been OGs, longtime listeners, and some of you new folks as well that have been around that just haven't really hopped on board with subscribing, and especially to all my Patreon members. So Patreon is one of those things that we have a bunch of folks that each month go in and donate to the podcast itself. And they've gotten some merchandise and some stickers and some other things that have actually come with becoming a patron of the show. But the amazing thing is that these folks are invested in me and my dream and what I'm trying to be able to work towards. So I'm appreciative of everybody, especially those patrons. And then also every single buddy else that comes in here to support the podcast, listen to the podcast, be inspired by the podcast, and keep moving things forward. So first of all, I just wanted to thank all of you for that. Second of all, I'm just excited. I'm excited to get back in the swing of things. I'm excited to be here with you. I got a couple interviews lined up over the next month or so where we're going to sit down with some individuals that have done some pretty great things or just in general overcome adversity in life and become rock stars and amazing people as we've moved forward. So if the story inspires me with the people, I'm going to try my damnedest to get them on board with the podcast. So look forward to that. Looking forward to all the things that are coming up for the podcast and everything else in general. And after the feeling that I got from when I was out in Vegas to where I am right now, it's pretty amazing. And I'm riding Cloud 9 where we can kind of just get after it and make things happen in general. So, all right, I'll tell you, I'll paint the picture for you a little bit and I'll tell you the story about what was going on. So here I was at work and I was making these things. If any of you don't know, my new job or newer job last couple years here is a general manager of a paper company. So we do stickers, flyers, brochures, all kinds of different stuff in small town Westbrook, Maine. And we do a lot for the local community and then a lot for businesses and everything else in general. So we recently got this order for a set of calendars for 2024, right? We're not even near the end of the year yet, but they're getting things ready to be able to see how they can put this calendar together with a bunch of Maine scenery and a bunch of local painters and all kinds of different stuff. So we're coordinating and calibrating, and so we've got everything all printed up. So here's the process of how it takes to make a calendar where you or I might see a calendar in the store and we can appreciate it and say, wow, that's beautiful pictures and it's a beautiful aspect of things. And wow, this really represents the state that I'm from or it really kind of captures things in general. But let me paint the picture of what kind of work went into making this calendar. Okay, this is what my thought process was the other day. And yes, sometimes I don't even know what direction I'm moving in with these things, but this was something that stood out to me. So the first thing we do is we go through all the production phase, right? We sit down, we talk about the layout of the calendar, we talk about the photos of the calendar, we talk about the quality of the images, we talk about everything. How do we put this together in a way that's going to represent you, the brand, all those things, but also represent the state and make the beauty of everything that's going on be brought to the front of the pages so that everybody that sees it knows exactly what it is and can appreciate everything about it. Local artists, local state, local scenery, everything, right? So we go through all these different conversations back and forth. Here's a proof for you to check out. Here's a mock-up for you to be able to try out. Here's all the things. So we got this communication section going. We got all these things going with the back and forth and all those things. So we finally get to a place where we are, where the layout looks great. And the layout looks like it's going to meet the needs of the customer. It's going to meet the needs of the consumers as they're going through, and then meet the needs of us in general to put a product that's high quality out to the general public. So that's the first whole step in the process. It could take anywhere from weeks to months, if need be, to be able to go through the mock-up and all the proofing and all that stuff. So here we go. They take this proofing, once it's approved, and they say, okay, we're good to go with it. Now go to print. Okay, awesome. So now my front of the house folks will go through their printers. They schedule the layout. They put it on this whatever program that they're using. They lay it out there, put the crop marks on there, everything. They make sure the color looks good, make sure the drums, the ink, the toner, whatever else that they're using looks really, really nice. The colors pop, everything's good to go. They print all these individually. Now, mind you, the order was for like 500 calendars, right? So they're going to do about 10 to 15 to be able to test it out and see where we're at. So they print these long 11 by 17, which is about double the size of what a normal legal side of paper or a legal letterhead would look like. But it's 11 by 17, and it's lengthwise long. So it's got the image at the top and the calendar on the bottom of it, and then you kind of roll it back. So we printed those on really, really heavy stock paper. Everything's good to go. It takes ink. It takes time. It takes requirements. It takes all these different things. We're putting all this together. So now we've already gone through the production phase, and now we're in the printing phase. So after we get done with the printing phase, those finished prints come back to the back of the house where people are back there that work on things like bindery, cutting things down, coiling, all kinds of stuff. So this calendar, if I can explain it to you the best way, is going to be basically a long 11 by 17 calendar that has a coil bound at the top of it with holes drilled, and then they can flip it around with a hole drilled in the middle so that way they can hang it on a wall or whatever, right? Easy enough when you walk into the store and you see this thing and you're like, wow, that calendar is really big and beautiful. It's bold. It's awesome. So I digress. I'll go back to that. So here we are. It comes to the back of the house, and I'm there, and I received 11 by 17 basically pieces of really heavy paper that are all stacked up on this cart saying, okay, here you go. Now it's in your hands. So I then take it to the cutter, and I make sure everything's all separated out, make sure everything's all good to go. Each individual calendar, which has, of course, 12 months in each, but if we printed multiple of them, you got to make sure you stay organized, make sure everything's good to go. I cut them down as per the crop marks on the paper itself to make sure that it matches and meets the requirement of what the customer really is looking for, making sure we're cut down and good to go, and then I stack them over to the left-hand side. So after I get done stacking them, I bring them to another machine, and this other machine is basically like a hole punch, but except it's a multiple hole punch, really small little tiny holes at the top of a whatever it is, a calendar or a book bound or whatever else. So we drill those in because it has to fit perfectly into the machine. So I set the machine up, and then we can drill those things down with a foot pedal, and we were able to knock each one of those individually for the calendars themselves. So we put, again, off to the side once the holes are drilled. So then the next step is we take a coil, this little plastic coil, whatever measurement of the coil, whatever the size of the coil, depending on how big your calendar is, and we then take this coil and we start to run it through the holes at the top of the calendar itself, and then we use a machine to kind of expedite that process, and it is able to coil it through faster all the way across the top of the calendar, and then it sits there and put them off to the side. Again, we put them off to the side. So after all that's done, after the coils are run, the holes are drilled, everything else is printed, everything's good to go, we then have to take these little set of crimpers, we have to cut each one of the individual coils and then bound them and bend them back in so that the people don't get their clothes caught on the coils or it doesn't get unraveled or anything like that. So as you can hear, and as I've just spent maybe the last 3 minutes of my time here with you talking about how long this process is. Now, this process takes a while. It's meticulous. You got to check each one. You got to make sure everything's good to go as you're progressing and as you're moving things forward. Now, as I'm going through this whole entire process, I'm thinking to myself, the normal average human being probably has no idea on how much work goes into making this 11 by 17 calendar that celebrates the state of Maine with the colors and the beauty and all that good stuff. Normal average human beings are not going to understand that. What they do is they see it wrapped up in plastic on the shelf. They love the pictures and they want to pick it up to be able to bring it home. They love the artwork. The actual reason why they're buying that style of calendar is because of what they see on the pages or in the calendar or whatever else, or the layout, et cetera, et cetera. And so they're not really understanding the amount of work, time, effort, and coordination and calibration and everything goes into making something as simple as a 12-page calendar for the next year as it comes out with a company that wants to brand itself in a way that says we're going to celebrate in Maine. Now, the reason I thought this way is because I'm thinking to myself, I also didn't know before I started working in this industry on how much work it actually takes to do some of the jobs that we are required to do and that customers expect for us to do. So this was a multiple step process, right? You went through 1 in production, 2 in communication, 3 in proofing, 4 in printing, 5 in drilling holes or cutting down, 6 in drilling holes, 7 in coiling, 8 in crimping, and then 9 would be to wrap it in saran to be able to be ready for resale or anything like that. So a 10-step process for a calendar that you can buy for whatever price to put on your wall, not really understanding the amount of work that goes into making the calendar. So it got me thinking. I'm sitting there and I'm doing all these calendars and I'm just kind of, in the motions and just kind of thinking in my head of what I see as a consumer is the final product. What I see is a product that's shiny and beautiful and colorful and bold. And I'm looking at that product and I'm saying to myself, okay, well, you know what? That is really nice and I want to hang that on my wall. Now, it's something as simple as that. As simple as being able to take this final product, whatever the final product is, a calendar, a book, or a notepad, or whatever else, not knowing the amount of work that went into it, all I see is what's in the final stage. So then I got to thinking. I got to thinking of all of us in our journeys. All of us in our journeys of whether it's weight loss, whether it's trying to get promotions at work, whether it's relationships, whether it's family, whether it's whatever. And all of us are trying to strive for bigger and better things. We're always trying to be the best version of ourselves, to continue to move forward, to live really, really good in those spaces of those things, like I was just talking about. Whatever our goals are, we want to be successful, right? Nobody wants to lose. So unless you want to lose pounds, and then you can lose that way, a different type of losing. But when you're trying to be able to get after it and do the things that are needed for you to be successful as you move forward, it's easy to compare and look at other people. We're on social media. We got Facebooks, we got Instagrams, we got Snapchats, we got TikToks, we got all kinds of different stuff. And you might be looking at somebody that may be a family of 4, right? A mom, a dad, 2 kids that went on a nice little vacation. They went to Disney, they went to whatever, and they enjoyed themselves, and you could just see the photos, them all laughing and having such a great time with lifesavers and roller coasters and Mickey Mouse ears and all kinds of different stuff going on. And you're watching from afar, 1, admiring the fact that they're having such a good time, but 2, you might even feel a little bit jealous, right? Where you're like, well, I really can't afford something like that. And I can't do that right now because we can't afford to pay our bills. We can't afford to buy a carton of eggs that's $75. We can't do anything to be able to move things forward. So I couldn't afford something like that. So I guess I'll just live vicariously through them and understand that they're having a great time and whatever else. So I feel a little bit of jealousy kicking in. Now, you're probably going to see where I'm going with this. On the other hand, if you're looking at things, maybe you're looking at Instagram, you're looking at Facebook, and you see a buddy of yours that's lost 100 pounds, right? You're trying to lose weight. You see somebody that lost 100 pounds. They're ripped. They're having such a good time. They're personal trainers. There's smiles on their face. They're all kinds of different stuff. They're feeling good about themselves. They're trying on new clothes. They're fitting into new stuff. And internally, you're going, man, I wish that I could be like them. I wish that I was like that. I wish that I lost weight instead of gained weight over the past, 6 months to a year. I wish that I wasn't in the place that I'm at. I'm so jealous of them. I wish that I was successful like them. Okay, that's scenario 2, right? And then you might also see some of the Instagram posts or Facebook posts where people are having a beautiful wedding, or they're out for their anniversary, or they're out for dinner, and it just looks so in love, and they're happy, and they're by candlelight dinners, and they're having such a good time, and they're embracing life, and they look like they're living it to the fullest, and their smiles, and they're happy, and all kinds of different things that are going on. And again, from afar, if you're in a relationship that is not all that happy, or you're having troubles like every relationship that actually exists in the world, or you're not in a relationship and you're single and you're looking at these types of things and you're like, man, I'm jealous of that individual because they look like they got it all together. They look like they're put together. They've got their relationship. They're having romantic dinners. They're having candlelight vigils. They're doing all kinds of whatever else that they got going on, and I'm jealous, and I'm looking at them and I'm going, man, I wish that I could be like that. I wish that my relationship was like that. I wish that I could be as successful as those individuals. So to be the bearer of bad news, it's not all rosy. It's not all bells and whistles. It's not all the final product that you see on Instagram, social media, Facebook, emails, photos, whatever it is. Those are the final products that people want you to see, right? Just going back to the calendar situation that I was just telling you about, I don't want you seeing all the other stuff that goes on behind the scenes about that calendar. I don't want you to see all the work and all the blood, sweat, and tears that go into putting something together to make a final product that's beautiful when it's on the shelf. I don't want you to see all the grainy photos that were sent back and forth and trying to be able to make sure that it's the right product and the right placement and the right positioning and right everything. I don't want you to see all that because that's all the dirty stuff that goes on behind the scenes. What I want you to see is I want you to see the beautiful end product that you're going to be either purchasing or want to admire from afar on someone's wall. So it's the same thing with social media, with photos, with images, with all those things. We have no damn idea what these people have been through to get to where they are right now. I may be jealous of somebody because of their success, which, as you know, on this podcast, we've talked about 1,000 times. Comparison is the thief of joy, and we really shouldn't compare to others. But listen, I'm human. You're human. I'm a positive realist. The realism part of it is we're humans. We're going to compare. We're going to look at another individual that is similar to us or around us or maybe in our friends group and whatever else. We're going to compare. It's going to happen. So when you're comparing yourself to other individuals that are going on these dates or losing all this weight or being successful at work or doing artwork that's absolutely stupendous and beautiful, not knowing the stuff that has gone on before with that artwork, that they've had to grind and make mistakes and throw stuff away and get frustrated, and the family has to support the time and the effort that legitimately it takes to be able to put one art piece out. It takes hours, if not days, if not months to be able to put together, and the blood, sweat, and tears and the expenses it takes to buy the paints and the brushes and the canvases and everything else that goes on. There's always a story behind what you see on the nice shiny bow package that you're looking at. There's always a story. And we just really, truly never know what people have been through. You might look at that person that lost 100 pounds and here you are trying to lose some weight, and you're looking at them and they've got abs and they got chest muscles and they got whatever else that goes on, or from the female side, a nice booty and whatever else they got going on. You're admiring from afar. You're like, man, I wish I had that. I wish I was right there. But we just don't know. We just don't know. Here's a quick story, a side note story. I met a friend on Instagram. We met, he was listening to my podcast and we had just chatted back and forth, and he had lost some weight. And I kept on complimenting him, going, what a great job, man. Great job on this. I'm really, really proud of you. And he's like, thank you. He goes, but has it been one hell of a ride? I'm like, well, tell me more. And he suffered from many autoimmune diseases, suffered from all kinds of different stuff that battled with his weight and made him gain weight, and back and forth, and trying to find the right dietary things and trying to be able to have the struggles, the roller coaster that all of us have been on when we're trying to lose weight and trying to be healthy, et cetera, et cetera. All the things that he was able to paint the picture, including being an obese kid and being made fun of when he was a kid and trying to be able to challenge through that. But he also ate to curb his feelings, all these different things. So we went through almost an hour or two of what goes on behind the scenes for him to get to where he is right now, and is still a work in progress, and he still sees himself as this fat kid, but he legitimately looks great. right? In my eyes. In his eyes, maybe not so much. And this is part of the battle of what he was talking about. He was talking about how much hell it goes through to get to where he has to go to, where his end goal and the things that he wants to be able to work towards, along with having to hear from everybody on how amazing you are and how fantastic you are. And I wish I was like you. And he would always answer, I don't think you really do, though. I don't think you really do. You don't know what goes on behind the scenes. But thank you very much for the compliment. And remember, your journey is your journey. And the things that you are doing is important to you, and it matters to you. Don't compare yourself to me, but use me as a catalyst and a focus to push you the right direction 100%. So it's just another situation, another one of those situations where we can sit back and we can say to ourselves, I don't know what's going on in their lives. I don't know the story behind this couple. Just like I was telling you earlier, when you see the couples out there on date night and they got the candlelight dinner and it just looks beautiful and it overlooks the water and it's gorgeous and whatever else. How do we know what they've been through? Maybe they've been through 10 breakups. Maybe they've been through cheating relationships. Maybe they've been through really difficult times. And this is a moment that they're looking at each other going, you know what? We've earned it. We've earned our stripes to be able to do this kind of thing. And of course, this is the picture that we want to paint for everybody to see. You don't want to see all the dirty stuff. You don't want to see all the dirt that goes on behind the scenes, the trials and tribulations that you go through, all those things. So there's two trains of thought with this that I'm thinking. One of them is, again, like we always talk about, you never know what someone's going through. So treat everyone with kindness. You never know the story that they may have. You may think that they have the most firm ground that they're standing on. You may think that they're the most well put together people in the whole entire world, but you just don't know what the story is behind the scenes. You never know what's going on in their lives. Maybe some bad news came this morning. Maybe something happened that with their kid, whatever else that goes on. You just never know what's going on. So if you stay consistent in the space of being kind to everyone that you come across, whether it's your friends, whether it's your family, whether it's a stranger off the street, if you stay consistent in your behaviors and the way that you respond and the way that you react and the way that you are treating them, you can only win in that situation. Because they're always going to know you're being your authentic self if you're being kind to somebody, because this is what you do. This is how you are. And for those that doubt you, that go, wow, why are you being so kind to me? Is this an act? Well, not really. This is who I am, and this is the direction that I'm taking my life to be able to make sure that I'm investing in other people. And I want to lift them up and encourage them and move them forward. Now, I will tell you, today I got a weird message. It was a strange message. I put out some social media content that basically talks about this thing that we're going to be working on about being kind. It fits right in alignment with everything we're talking about here. But I put out a message saying that in May and June, we're going to be doing random acts of kindness. And if you record yourself or take a picture of yourself before you go out, or maybe while you're doing this random act, or even afterwards, you send it over to me, and then I'm going to send you some stickers to celebrate in that fact. Now, when I get a bunch of videos put together, I'm going to put a compilation of a lot of people doing a lot of really kind things. And so I got a message from somebody that I was very surprised that I got a message from, but they're a big supporter, and they're super positive people. But they were like, you shouldn't have to have this trendy kindness to be able to do so. They should be doing it when they're not on camera and those kind of things. And I then retorted with, okay, so first of all, you don't know what's going on with those people if they don't know how to go and do random acts of kindness, or they don't have the behaviors set in place for them to be consistent with trying to be able to move that forward. You got to start somewhere. You got to create a habit somewhere. So why not start with this to be able to inspire other people to go do kind things for people? What a concept we're living in, right? Because we live in a pretty negative, dark place. So the only way that you're going to be able to change the narrative and change the view and change the way that we look at things is by doing it yourself and inspiring others to do the same. Now, if you sit quietly and you don't do anything about it and you just kind of do your thing, great, that's good. That you're doing it for the right reasons. But it doesn't mean you're doing it for the wrong reasons if you want to celebrate in that and move that forward. That was just my own thought process. I had to vent a little bit about that. I was quite surprised, actually. But it's the truth, right? If I'm staying consistent and I'm going to continue to be kind, but I want to celebrate in that, inspire others to be kind and do things that are nice for people, then what's the losing situation here? Who cares if people are trying to do it for clout? You're doing kind things for people. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to judge you. Don't judge me. I'm not going to judge you. So again, to go back to what we were saying earlier, you just don't know what goes on behind closed scenes, right? Or behind the scenes. You don't know what goes on with people that are trying to be able to be the best version of themselves, and the only thing that you see is the final product. The only thing that you see are those final calendars that are sitting in wrap and able to sell and purchase and all those things, because it's a beauty product. It's a beautiful product. It legitimately is the finished, polished product at the end of the day, which is the exact same thing that you see through social media and those kind of things. Even the progress videos or the posts that you see with weight loss or whatever else, you're still seeing a good version of themselves as they move forward and whatever else. And I love them so much, and I'm inspired by all of them as we move forward. But I want you just to remember, that there's always stories behind. You're not alone. All of us are going through some SHIT right now. All of us are going through the ringer. All of us have hard times. All of us are on the roller coaster of life. All of us are trying to be able to just be the best version of ourselves to continue to move forward. All of us. But guess what? At the end of the day, if it helps you to know that you don't feel alone in your journey and in your travels, use that as a catalyst to get you there, right? But also remember, don't judge other people. Don't automatically assume that they have it easy. Like I've heard that from a lot of people too, when they lose weight or something like that. And, oh, you got the genes. You must have good genes that you can do that. No, it takes hard work and dedication for somebody to lose weight and to become athletic and those kind of things. The amount of time and effort that a lot of people put into making themselves better and those kind of things is lost a lot of times, because we all want that push button, instant gratification kind of thing. But we don't know the kind of work that went into it, the kind of, they dive into it, and the dedication and the consistency and all those things. We don't know what they've been through. We don't know how much work it actually takes. So when you make a comment like it's in your genes, you got good genes to be able to do so, that's kind of condescending, and you're breaking down all their accomplishments and all their hard work based on the fact that that's genetic or it's the luck of the straw, right? So it's not. At the end of the day, we're all working for common goals. We're all working for ourselves. We're all trying to be better. We're all trying to be better versions of ourselves. So, to summarize all of this and what I'm talking about here, you don't know all the steps that it's taken to get to where you have to get to, or what you might see your neighbor or your friend or those kind of people. So don't feel jealous. Just know they're on the same journey. They may be a little bit further ahead than you, but they're on the same journey as you. They're going through the same struggles as you. They've got their ups. They've got their downs. They've got their moments of trying to give up. They're trying to be able to continue to move forward. And then even if they get there, it's even harder to consistently keep it going, to keep that momentum going in a place where you know how hard it was, where you were trying to get there, and that's your goal. And then you're finally there, and then you're looking back going, okay, now how do I maintain? Whether it's weight loss, whether it's financial, whether it's work related, whether it's relationships, whatever it is, how do I continue to move forward? So now your goals are different, but you're still working, and you're still overcoming adversity. You're still overcoming ups and downs and changes in life and attitudes and everything. We're a pretty amazing group of people, aren't we? We have so many different ways of thinking, so many different ways of doing things, so many different ways of just trying to be able to get through life. And yeah, it can be difficult at times. But just know this. You, just like me, everybody else that's in this room right now listening to this podcast, you're worth the investment. You're worth the work. Don't judge others. Don't compare yourself to others, because you have no idea what that story really looks like. All you, like I said, you see is that final product, that polished product that's there. You don't know the backstory. You don't know what's going on. Just know this. Anything that's good that's happened to somebody has taken work. It's taken pain. It's taken some suffering. It's taken struggle and all those things. Even people that are blessed with things like inheritance of money or good genes or whatever else, it still takes work and energy to be successful in the space that you're living in. Overcoming adversity, dealing with other individuals, dealing with politics and lies and all this other stuff that goes on all around you, and you're just trying to be able to move things forward. You just want to be a positive influence, right? Remember that. You're worth the investment. You're worth the time. And again, let's celebrate in you for a little bit in the fact that you're taking the time to listen to this podcast. You're taking the time to better yourself. You're taking the time to be able to put one step in front of the other, even if it may be slower than another person's step. It doesn't matter. It's one step nonetheless. And you're awesome and you're incredible. Much love to all you guys. That's this week's podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed my thought process as I was sitting there making calendars at work, and it just got me really thinking. And I felt like I needed to share with you, because the work that goes into things that makes it worth it, the final product, when it does come out of the end, is 1,000% even more worth it because of the stuff you've been through getting there. Okay, so respect the journey, appreciate the journey, and we'll talk soon. Okay, much love, everybody.
Thank you for listening to today's podcast. Please do us a favor and leave feedback and a 5-star rating on whatever platform that you use.